Shut up and sit down.
Good evening, everyone. This is Epic Fail, episode 160. My name is Draven Dresden, and we don't have a gal this week. I know. Hold your applause until the end. It's fine. Oh, by the way, I should probably let you guys know, for the guests that I have tonight, I make fun of Galv all the time, so that's where that came from. Anyway, just a heads up before we get into anything. There is one game on topic tonight. It is going to be Warcraft. There will be spoilers, so if you are not up to date, there's your warning. So, without any further ado, hi. Yeah. So this is over here. We have AliK, the host of Dungeon Fables. And then over here, Evaric, who I know from mostly AIE and Azeroth Roundtable, and then this little game, Dungeons and Dragons things that he's a DM of, and I'm a player of. But anyway, I'll let you guys, anything you guys want to say. And because I can be a gentleman from time to time, I do have this thing for ladies first. So, AliK, if you want to say, what you do, what your podcast is about, that kind of thing, feel free.
Hi, I'm AliK. I've been playing WoW since Burning Crusade or so, mid-Burning Crusade. And just very recently started Dungeon Fables. We're on week 9 coming up here soon. And it's all about the lore behind the dungeons and why they're actually there, why the bosses are there. And I'm a geek, and I like to talk about WoW a lot.
Fair enough. And just for the record, you're on a podcast that's been going, this is episode 160. Being a geek, we consider being a geek to be okay.
I figured, figured fit right in with that, I might be a podcasting noob, but,
it's still better. It's still better than our shows most of the time. We've had out of 160, I'd say we probably had 10 good shows.
Well, I've enjoyed the ones I've seen.
What was that, Ev?
Oh, she's more experienced than me, at least, so you're not the least experienced podcaster here.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so it's your turn, Ev. Anything you want to say about you, what you do, etc., and so forth, feel free.
Cool. Well, I'm Evaric. I live in Mexico. I've been playing World of Warcraft almost as long, since the very beginning of Wrath of the Lich King. As Draven mentioned, I play Dungeons & Dragons. We're on a Dungeons & Dragons podcast together. It's cool. I think that about covers the highlights.
Yeah, I can't wait. Tomorrow's going to be either amazingly awesome or amazingly awful for everyone involved, and that includes the NPCs of the world.
Oh, it's funny because we are at a bit of a delay posting the session, so I want to tell everyone, oh my god, tomorrow's session is going to be so amazing, but then they're going to get a different one, the listeners.
Yeah. I was like,
so you and I will have.
Yeah, I've been talking to someone, Alessandra in particular, and she's like, we were going back and forth on some stuff, and I was like, I can't wait for you to catch all the way up. I know you're a few behind, even if you're caught up on the live thing that is getting put out there. But once you get caught up to where we are now, you're going to be like, oh crap, what did you do?
Is it really hard? Like, do you guys find it really hard to not give away those spoilers and not even just slip up a little bit?
In my case, no. because I'm used to keeping secrets, and I'm playing a wizard whose entire MO is keeping secrets, because that's what whenever I think wizard, that's wizard to me. He's like, I will know all these things, and I might hint at things, but I will not tell you.
Yeah, and since I'm the one who like edits and posts the podcast, I have a pretty good idea of where.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I will say I have been listening, even though I'm a player in the game, I have been listening to the D&D podcast, just so I know what gets cut and stuff like that. And then I know what to talk to people about. And then I've been talking to one of the other players outside about game mechanic stuff, so nothing meta there, so you don't have to worry. And one of the few podcasts I still actually listen... Well, I can't really say still, because it is newer. But one of the podcasts I actually do listen to is Dungeon Fables. Just because... One, I was curious. I was like, what's this? And I was like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Yeah, sounds like another Dungeons and Dragon show, but...
No, well, we had Ben Baumhofer on a while back, a couple months ago, and the first half hour was Marvel. It didn't touch Blizzard at all. It was just Marvel.
It was great. It was glorious.
Yeah. So a lot of times our episodes go, here's the railing, here's where we're going. And then every now and then...
And it works.
Yeah, we'll just regularly still back. So, it's fine. But yeah, fun.
So what made you guys want to start that in the first place? Like, what was that final push?
I wanted to play. Like, I've been watching Critical Role for a while. Not since it started, admittedly. I started near the end of last campaign. So I only had like 5 or 6. But then I literally, and I am not kidding when I say this, I binged Critical Role. From start, nearly non-stop when I had the time to do it. Until I was all the way caught up, and I was done before they started again.
How long did that take you?
Well, about 4 hours an episode. There was about 115 or so episodes total.
Oh, crap. Long time.
Like I said, that I turned off music. I stopped books. I didn't watch every single episode. It was on, coming through my headset, and I was doing something else, but I could hear. And then every now and then, if something real interesting I thought was happening, I'd tab over, and back it up, and watch exactly what happened. And yeah, so I've watched quite a bit of it. There's a few streams that I've been watching that are D&D related, and I tried to get into a game a while back. It was late last year, and then stuff kept coming up where people couldn't make it. And then I can't really call it a vacation, but I went out of town helping, and I told them this was going to happen. And then we just never picked up again. So I technically, up until this point, whenever the one me and Ever in, I had technically maybe a session and a half experience of actual playing. But that being said, the character they told me to pick, because I wasn't going to pick it just because of the makeup of the group that we already had. I was going to pick something else. But they told me to pick this one because I knew the character, like, it's been in my head for decades. Even before I knew what D&D was or anything like that. It was just, this particular character was in my head. Obviously I had a more powerful version, and I got to work my way to that, but...
Your D&D character is older than I am. Sounds like.
But
you said decades. I'm about 20, so.
Okay, yeah, he's probably older than you then. Well, yeah. He would be older than you. In my head, he's actually older than me, but since we're so early on, I said his age younger. I probably said it too young, though, to be honest.
Oh, I just meant the idea of him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I used to have a whole ton of the vampire books, the werewolf books, the mage books. I had all these books. Never used them for anything outside of character creation.
Yeah.
I never played any of them, and it was just... I basically went through and I started just making characters because I was thinking that what would be a good way to make characters for a book, because I was thinking about writing books and short stories and stuff. What would be a good way to do that? An actual character creator. There's a system right here. This seems like it would work.
Yeah, I've definitely turned some of my old campaigns I've run into like settings for novels, so it's a good way to get into it.
Okay. Well, it helps that connection to the character, which makes that game really come alive for you. So,
yeah, we have our own Discord for our D&D thing, and they make fun of me because I'm like, yeah, I have backup characters for when my character dies, because he's a wizard, which means he's squishy, which means he probably is not going to get to where I think he should be in my head. So I was like, I'm just going to make a backup, and then I made 15 backups because I get
so a lot of epic fails, basically.
I'm expecting to be the guy who causes everything to go wrong, but not on purpose.
Or is it?
Anyway, jumping a little bit back towards the actual topic, since you do have a WoW podcast, Ellie, I'll ask you this. What got you started doing that?
I've been listening for podcasts for like 10-something years, and I always found myself like answering the hosts when they ask questions and things while I'm listening. So either I was insane, or maybe I had some idea of what to do.
Insert why not both gif right here.
Or both, actually, that's probably right. And I actually had a chance to guest a couple times on World of Warcast, which was the first one I ever listened to. And that like gave me the like podcasting itch. And I tried to find a little niche that I'd be passionate about, and it would be fun to do. And I've always liked dungeons and their stories, and I like the lore in general. So this was like my little avenue I found, and I love it. I'm kind of addicted a little bit now, so it's good.
Nothing wrong with that. There are worse things to be addicted to.
Yeah, it's a good addiction.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's good. Yeah.
I mean, you could go around sniffing glue. That would be a weird addiction. I'm not advocating that, so disclaimer, don't do that, kids.
Are you speaking from experience, or...?
No, that would be paint chips.
Oh, okay.
That explains so much.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, what got you into WoW then? Like, what was to the point where you're like, this game looks interesting, yeah, let's go ahead and get it, and then you're like, oh crap, now this is my life.
Yeah, it's my life. Yeah, I had some friends that played it back in BC, and they just had me sit down one day and make a character, and I made a dwarf rogue, and I'm like, how do I name her? And they literally gave me a name book and just said, just let's look through it. So I could combine different names, and that's how I got Aliandris. And I like tooled around and did roguey things and stabbed stuff, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. And it was my first MMO. And I liked it, and eventually they got the game for me for my birthday, and I was just hooked immediately.
Okay. WoW was actually my second MMO. I played City of Heroes first, up till shortly before it closed. Like, I'd quit the game before that, and then I heard it was closing, so the last month that it was open, I spent a lot of time there. And then I was there when the servers went down, and I was sad. But,
yeah.
You know, of course. How about you, Evaric? What got you into WoW?
Well, so I had some experience with Warcraft 3 first, and I can't even remember where that came from. Like, one of my relatives got it for, like, my brother, actually, for Christmas or something, back when I was, like, 10. And then I actually saw my younger brother playing through that, and then I got kind of invested in the characters and the stories. For example, Sylvanas, we'll probably be talking about tonight.
Maybe.
So yeah, I'd never played an MMO, or like I wasn't even that much of a gamer back then, so it wasn't like I was looking for MMOs to play. It was just that the characters and the stories were so good that eventually I started seeing ads online for World of Warcraft, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool, maybe I'll check it out. That was actually, I don't know if you're familiar with NaNoWriMo, like National Novel Writing Month. Yeah, so it's just this challenge in November where you try to write a book in a month, and I basically told myself, like, if I win this, if I write a book in a month, I'll get this game as a reward for myself. And I did win, so I got it for myself, and then I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah. I had friends trying to get me into WoW for almost a year before I actually started. And I ended up starting either just after or just before Black Temple, or not Black Temple. The next one. The
Sunwell?
Sunwell.
No.
Yeah.
Bashir? No, not Bashir.
Yeah,
It was Sunwell. I think I joined just before Sunwell. And then I couldn't remember what name was on the server, and I saw that big list. I was like, well, I know it started with an M. So I just made a random character out of an M, and I was like, I couldn't find anybody that the guild name that they told me wasn't there, nothing. So I was like, I'm clearly on the wrong server, but I'm going to try it out. 2 days later, I make a character on the server that they were on, and I'd start over again, which was good because I would have quit otherwise because... Okay, you got to keep in mind, we didn't have all these fancy tools like showing stuff on the map where stuff was at, so you had to go looking for it back then. Even though, given that, I will consider this an epic fail, my level 2 character found the Barrens, which was not a low-level zone at the time. As soon as I crossed the river, it seemed like I aggroed the entire zone. I could not recover my body because I couldn't get back there. And I was just like, you know what, I'm done. So I just set it down, and they were like, no, you're on this server. I was like, oh, okay. And then I didn't have the expansion yet. I just had the base game, so I couldn't even play Blood Elf or anything like that. Maybe I could, I don't remember. I couldn't use the little orb in Undercity, I know that much.
Yeah.
No, back then, you had to own Burning Crusade to unlock those races. They've changed it since, I think.
Oh yeah, and now it's way different. Now you just pay $15 and you get the entire game up till the newest expansion.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it makes a difference playing with people because, sorry, that group of people that bought me the game, they were all like doing dungeons and raids, and I was just a slow level being like, I'm on a horse, woo! And I felt like really left behind and kind of didn't have fun. And then I randomly met a guy through doing battlegrounds, and we kept randomly getting in the same battleground over and over, and we were both rogues, so we were working together, and he invited me to his guild, and I've been with them since, and that was back in 2009, so
you are one of those people. Rogues teaming up in battlegrounds.
When it's warranted, well, yeah, battlegrounds, why wouldn't I be? That's like the best place to be, like that.
Yeah, well, to be fair...
That's their job.
To be fair, I may have... I forget what level it was. I may have twinked out my rogue at one point. It was a high level, and whatever it was the twinking point for the expansion that just came out, which I think was Kata. So it was like one level over the whatever, but I gave him like the best possible gear. I paid way too much money for these greens and blues that were BOA or BOEs, and I graveyard farmed the entirety of the other team. And my team was like, where are they at? And I'm like, they're in this graveyard. How do you know? I keep killing them.
Their corpse is right over there.
Yeah. Then a couple people came over and they saw this huge thing of skeletons. They're like, what are you doing? And I killed someone. And then I got the achievement Wrecking Ball. And I was like, they were like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had an easy time winning that one, but that was entertaining. But that was before they had the switch of turn off XP and, different queues for them and that kind of thing.
Right.
Which was a good change, don't get me wrong. It needed to happen because then there was people like me who was abusing the system.
Maybe a little bit.
And that was a whole lot. I wasn't doing anything illegal. I was abusing the system, though. Really admit that. But yeah. Well, let's see. Your podcast is about dungeons. What's your favorite dungeon that you haven't covered yet? And I will include raid in this also.
Oh God. See, that's really hard because it's like music. Like I like so many that's hard to pick one. If I absolutely had to, it'd probably be for raid a toss up between Karazhan and like old regular Karazhan and ICC. But I've been running ICC for a while to get Invincible, so we have a love-hate relationship right now. So I'm gonna say Kara.
How do you know it hasn't dropped yet? I mean, it's not like you could see it anyway. Yeah, but for dungeon, gosh, I would say possibly Halls of Reflection back in Wrath. Oh. That was and I know it's a really obscure one, like no one ever picks it, because that was the one where Arthas was chasing you down and you were like running away from him, and he kept putting up the walls of ice to block you and everything, and just that wasn't the part people hated of that dungeon though. It was the first two bosses, that room.
I liked it all.
You're one of the few. I mean,
I know.
There was Halls of Reflection and then the Oculus were the two that people hated the most.
Well, yeah, Oculus was fun, and it had, like, if you were with a group of people that knew Oculus, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But
I learned how to hold a paladin tank in that.
In Oculus?
I'm not kidding. Holy paladin tank. I was the healer tanking.
Hey, it works.
It works.
I rogue tanked for a while. I mean, it happened.
That was my first time I tanked as a healer, and basically the rest of the Wrath, I would randomly, hey, I'm gonna heal tank this random dungeon or this random raid. I successfully did most of Nax.
That's impressive.
Successfully did 2 Dragon Sarth. I never could get 3. At least not in content. Afterwards, it didn't count.
Right, yeah.
But most of the heroic dungeons I tanked as holy. Half of the raids, I tanked parts of them as holy. Because I didn't want to tank and I didn't want to heal. I wanted a DPS.
So you did both.
But I did both. I was like, this is, I mean, it worked. It wasn't always the best, but rarely in dungeons did anyone die, so no one complained. But it started because...
It was doable back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started because we got random Oculus that day, and the tank just left. We waited, and then no tank would show up, and if they did, they left right away. So I was like, all right, guys, screw this. And I was in Holy at the time, just because I don't even know why. I think it was for the faster queue.
Probably. I
turned on my, whatever the aggro thing was called, and I just put beacon on myself. I was like, and I just went. And they were like, are you, what? And they were like, holy crap, no one died. I was like, nope. And I just kept going. And finally we got a tank at the very end, and they were like, how did you guys do this? I was like, I was tanking. But you're a healer.
I pushed buttons.
I was like, yeah. I didn't hate Oculus. I was very happy whenever they added the mount to it at the time.
Yeah.
That made it so people didn't leave most of the time, but it wasn't my favorite either. What about you? Oh, go ahead.
It was just like, it was unique. And it's really hard, especially because especially these days, like WoW's been around for so long, it's hard to find those unique fights and those unique mechanics. And yeah, like when you got people leaving, like it was horrible. If you got people who didn't know what they're doing and didn't know what to do on the different dragons, then it was a pain in the butt. But
it was.
I liked it.
The rotation on the dragons was literally the arcane mage 1-1-1-2.
It was so easy.
1-1-1-2.
It was so easy. Or you get the green dragon people who wouldn't actually heal. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Ev? Favorite dungeon and or raid?
Yeah, it would have to be Shadowfang Keep.
Yes.
I've always loved Silverpine Forest and just the ambience and the lore of that zone. And then, so Shadowfang Keep, it was actually, I think the first dungeon I ever did, this was, of course, back before there was Group Finder, so it was me and my brother playing. We were maybe at the high end of the level range you were supposed to do it, but not like out of the level range, and we just decided to two-man it, and it took hours, and we wiped a lot, but we did get to, well, okay, so we got to where we could see a Rugal, and then the trash started to respawn because we had been in there so long, and the entire dungeon respawned. So we never actually killed a Rugal, but we got through the entire rest of the dungeon two-manning. And
Nice. Well done.
like, thank you. If I had to choose, and we were on a hunter and a warlock, so no tank or healer. Like, I mean, I guess my pet was technically a
Well, you had the blueberry. I mean, they were
Yeah,
good tanks.
warlock pet, hunter pet. You had tanks. Sort
Yeah,
of.
for sure. But like, if I had to pick a version, I would say the old version, even though I do love the new update and like how it all ties in with the story of that zone so well. But
I love when they tie it in, like that nod to the previous version of it. It just it makes it all. It wasn't a waste, the past dungeon version.
and even if you took all the bosses and the story out of it, just the keep itself. Like, if I could live in WoW, like I might want to just hang out in that creepy keep, and yeah.
I don't know where I'd pick to live. I do know my two most favorite dungeons in and of themselves are two of the most hated dungeons ever.
Nice.
Old Sunken Temple. Old Sunken Temple, the one that took.
It was
4
fun. It was
hours.
just
It was so
super
long.
long,
I was
yeah.
like, it took a long time, but I enjoyed it. I liked the maze. It was just fun for me. I don't know. Anytime I got that, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then original Blackrock Downs? Depths. Yeah. The old dungeon where it wasn't split into the 3 or 4 parts it is now. I'm talking back when it was 1. And that's why no one liked these, because they were so long.
But they were good though, honestly.
I mean,
if you had the time.
Yeah, if you had the time to do it. I didn't want to do them every day.
That's gonna be the Dark Iron Dwarf capital city now, right? So you could actually go live there if you make a
parts of it, yeah. But
yeah, like they're actually just making like the city in there, like the home city where the Dark Iron Dwarves will hang out.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be phased, but yeah. So you still get to do the dungeon.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of raid, I don't know. I'm thinking Karazhan was the first time I ever did a raid while it was
Mine too.
level.
Yeah, mine too.
But ICC was the first one I finished. And by finished, I mean like normal and heroic. While it was current, I missed getting invincible by 1 day. Like the 100% drop rate, and then the next day, patch, we've lowered the drop rate. And that's when we killed him. I'm like, crap. And then it took me until Mists of Pandaria of doing that raid every week on multiple characters. Almost every week. It wasn't every single week, but it took a very long time.
Like, I haven't done it every single week either, but like I'll get into a phase where like for a month or two, like every single week I'll at least take one character, if not multiples. It just kind of depends on if the game's busy or if there's a lull, and I still don't have it. So hopefully someday, because it hurts my soul.
Yeah, new expansion, leveling weeks, gearing weeks, new content. That's usually whenever I either go only once or maybe not at all. But once that the newness of it dies off and it's okay, now I'm just doing the dailies. That's when I'll be like, okay, alt through there, alt through there, alt through there, I have a couple alts. I have 19 110s.
Oh, just a couple.
Just a couple.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Well, I've told this many times, so chat room already knows this. I was farming the big love rocket off of the Valentine's Day thing.
Oof. Yeah.
So I wanted as many attempts as I could. So that's why I have 5 Demon Hunters, because they were the easiest ones to get in the level range to get the freaking rocket.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so it took me 1,314 tries.
Oh.
I kept track. Those are confirmed kills. I'm sure that number is actually higher.
Probably.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
I don't have to do that ever again, so yes.
So yes.
Also, all but I think 3 of my tunes have that as their default flying mount.
They better after that. All my tunes. I was in the BFA Alpha, and Alpha I had Invincible, and I just rode it all the time, and it was glorious. And then Beta dropped, and they wiped it, and I miss it. I had a taste of it, and I miss it.
Yeah. I still go back and do some of the old, like, Time Lost Proto Drake. I've pretty much given up on because of phasing and all that cross realm. Anax down in Deep Home, I have given up on. I'm not even trying for that one ever. If it ever shows up in the black market auction house, maybe I'll put some money on it. But other than that, I have every mount possible up until Miss. Then I've got the world bosses and a couple of the dungeons.
Nice.
Yeah, better luck than me, gosh.
Well, I also don't have any of the card game mounts, which is why Markonnen has way more mounts than me. Because he actually, I won't pay for those. They're asking too much for them. I understand why they're asking that much, but I'm not doing it.
If Hearthstone gave mounts, I'd have them all. But
yeah, and then
it gives one.
Yeah, like I've got the cross promotion mounts and that kind of thing. So and pets.
Yeah, those are easy.
Yeah, those. Mimron's head. Okay, I was wrong. Wrath. There's that one from Wrath that I still don't have.
Yep, I don't have that one either.
Yeah, I still go back
Wrath
and do that.
Wrath is when I started to actually, like, for a time, at least through, like, a chunk of Old War, ICC, and, like, halfway through Kata was, like, hardcore raiding. And I never got those drops. I'm trying, though. I do have Ashes of Alar, so that's something.
I farmed that mount on 3 different characters, Paladin, Mage, and Death Knight, for years. I take my, quite literally, I make a group with my level 72 warrior. And I have never seen it drop prior to that. And I win the roll on my warrior. First time going in.
Nice.
And then the same group, since it was a mount farming group, and I didn't feel like playing my mains for these, because I'd already killed them on my mains. We went to another place that dropped a mount. I think it was EOE. Mount dropped there too.
Wow.
So we went to Vault of Archivon. Mount dropped there too. It got to the point where everyone was like, you're bringing your warrior to these mount runs from now on. Because every time it shows up, a mount drops.
That's just sick and wrong, and I kind of hate you. But congratulations on all your mounts.
I farm the heck out of these on other tunes, so you don't...
Right.
Yeah. It's not like I put together back in, I think it was Wrath, Headless Horseman runs with 4 people, and we'd sell runs until they got them out, because we saw so many of them drop.
Yeah.
That never happened. Ever.
No.
I think literally this expansion, I finally spent the last of that money that I made off of that.
Wow.
Because
done.
It was literally drop, 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 drop. And this is when you had the little item so you could summon him 4 or 5 times if you had that many people in the group. And we had a bunch of alts. We just kept going through, doing it over and over.
Yeah.
And the mounts would just keep dropping. So we're like, okay, next. This is how much we're charging. You will get them out today. How do you know? Because we have alts. You're going to get it.
You will get it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was like 20K per run, I think. So we'd each get 5K. And I think we sold like 50 runs.
Nice.
It's good money.
Yeah. For 2 weeks, yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, then they changed it so you can't do that anymore. And I think we're the reason why, but...
Might be part of it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun while it lasted. But yeah, I think I finally used up the last of that money this expansion. I've made money since then too, but... Yeah. Anyway, anything else past-wise for Warcraft or any other Blizzard game you guys want to mention? Or should we get straight to the actual news stuff?
I guess the only thing, I want to revise my answer of where I would live in WoW, because I remembered that Zoltazar is coming out, and so it's really hard to improve on living in Mexico, but Zoltazar is Mexico with dinosaurs, so yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, we can move on.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood what you said. The new zone with the new trolls from the new expansion with the new quote-unquote old god in it is where you want to go to live.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, totally get it. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I heard that right, because that seems like a me answer. All right. So anyway, we're going to go into our actual show topics. As I said at the beginning of the show, 100% Warcraft. There's no anything else. I mean, we could talk about the heroes, the Viper skins, which is basically Cobra from G.I. Joe. But we mentioned that before, so we're not going to go into it. So straight
I don't
into,
know what that means, but you guys can talk about it.
and yeah, it's no biggie. So we're just going to go into the actual show topic, and we have to talk about Sylvanas and the cinematic that had a lot of players in an uproar for a few days.
There's still an uproar. Let's be honest.
But it's less now for another reason we'll
Yeah.
get into.
Yeah.
Release another
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Died down.
Yeah.
I love how well Blizzard knows its player base, that they literally have on their schedule, okay, today we're going to make the fans mad, 2 days from now we're going to make the fans happy again.
And it's funny because there's those fans who are like, you just did this because we were all mad. It's like they planned this forever ago. Like this, they knew you would get mad, so they did this.
I want to believe that's true, because I want to believe they can make those cinematics in 2 days now, and that we're just going to be getting them every 2 days from here on out. So
Oh my god, that'd be
let
amazing.
me live in that world.
So, with the limited video and picture editing I am able to do, I can tell you for a fact, there is no freaking way they did that thing in 2 days.
No.
That was probably 8 months of work. I'm guessing. It might have been even more than that, because it was about 6 minutes, so I don't know. But I would say probably about 8 months of work getting everything just right.
Yeah.
And that's the Sour Fang video for anyone who has any weird question in their mind. But
It was so good. It was
It
so
was.
good. I'm not even a Horde player, and it was so good.
all right, but let's jump back to Sylvanas first, and everyone getting upset. I'm going to start with you, AliK, because one of your home cities got burnt.
Did.
Were you thinking it was actually going to be Sylvanas that did the burning?
Yeah. I think after having done the beta, I've already seen Battle for Lordaeron, minus the couple cinematics they left out. And with reading what I did before the storm, I figured it was going to be Sylvanas. But since we don't know the whole story yet, I'm torn on whether I think it was some kind of old guy corruption thing we don't know about yet, or if that's just she's died so many times that she's kind of broken, if she's that gung-ho to save the Forsaken. I don't know the motivation fully, but I was figuring it was going to be her.
Okay.
Or Nomi.
Yeah, Nomi was a popular fan theory just because nobody likes him and everyone would have been... The only problem I saw with Nomi...
I like that.
The only problem I saw with Nomi, though, was that would have united Horde and Alliance against another foe.
Yeah,
Whether he was
that's true.
Legion or Old God Corrupted or anything, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been like, oh, no, you don't get to do that. So it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So I was like, I goofed and said it was going to be Nomi, and I kept that up for a while. I knew it wasn't going to be. I was desperately hoping it wasn't going to be Sylvanas. Even though I do main an Alliance character, she is one of my more favorite characters, even despite recent events.
Well, because her lore is so deep intertwined in the game and goes for so long, and it's a great story. Like, I didn't want it to be her, even though I was also convinced it was going to be her.
Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be her based on one thing only. It seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
So that's why my mind went, okay, that's way too obvious. All these other directions. And then I will freely admit, I got upset, not rage-induced, punching walls, throwing things, threatening other people. By the way,
No
guys,
death threats?
don't threaten people. It's just not worth
No.
it. Ever. But it made me upset because it was Sylvanas, and I was like, no, I don't care the reason for that. And I mean, it's in character for her, yes.
Yeah.
I will give them that. But it just seemed like too obvious that I was hoping it was going to be someone else. Even Malfurion with a bunch of matches on accident. And then he just said, or did it. Like that cartoon thing that's out there, yeah. So that was the only reason. It just seemed too obvious to be her. Now, Evaric.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I told you when you invited me on that this is going to be like your most controversial episode.
Oh, you have not been on some of our shows, so.
I not only thought it would be her, I wanted it to be her, and I was so happy when it was. So first I will say, like you were saying, it's too obvious. It is sort of weird how they did the messaging, how they kind of made it a mystery and then it turned out to be the obvious answer, because if they hadn't made it a mystery and it had been her, like, none of us would be, I feel like, having this discussion as much. We'd just be like, yeah, that seems like something she would do. I don't know, maybe not, but... So the one thing that tripped me up, so I was actually playing my Alliance character through the storyline, and you're talking to what's her name, like, Delarian? The Night Elf chick.
The commander chick.
Like Delarian or something. Yeah, when you talk to her, she says, like, we must destroy Sylvanas at any cost, even if it costs us everything we hold dear. And I'm like, oh, does she burn the tree? But other than that little part, I never bought into any of the crazy conspiracy theories. Like, I thought Sylvanas made sense, and then I was super happy when it was, because I don't... Like, okay, another super unpopular opinion I have is I actually like that we're going to war. Everyone's saying, like, oh, we should just have the Alliance and Horde war not be a thing anymore. Everyone should be at peace and take the war out of Warcraft and make it World Peacecraft. So I like Horde Alliance war has always been my favorite storyline in the game. And more than that, I don't want it to be based on a misunderstanding or a false flag or an old god corruption. I like that actually the two sides do have differences, and Sylvanas made a choice, and now Anduin's making a choice on how to respond to that, and we're all going into this conflict with our eyes open and with real intentions. So I love that.
Yeah. What made me upset more than it being Sylvanas, when I was hoping it wouldn't be, despite how obvious it was they kept saying both sides will have equal viewpoints of the other side started it. Whereas right now, it's 100% clear Sylvanas started it. But since she's war chief of the Horde started it. So the Horde
started this battle. The Alliance started the war when they put all the orcs in internment camps, so there's that.
Well, that was like forever ago.
If you want to go back and forth like this, all the way in the back...
I mean, both sides are to blame, and both sides in the way history. And I agree with you, though. Like, it has been a couple expansions since, we've actually been at war for the world of Warcraft. Like, the last couple expansions where we're going to work together. We're going to kind of hate each other, but we're going to work together to fight the bad guys. So, it makes sense. I'm okay that we're going to war. I still think it's going to end in old god corruption by the end, but...
This is not an old god expansion. They've said repeatedly this is not an old god expansion. There is no chance there is any old gods in this expansion.
No, never. No, it will. I'm thoroughly convinced we'll find out that old gods were like meddling and being like chaos, 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 while we're busy fighting each other. And then by the end, we'll see the old gods and be like, okay, that's bad. And the next expansion will be old gods, void lords, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see some Nazatha. I don't know if we're going to fight him, but I'm cool with that too. Like, he's awesome. He's my favorite old god for sure.
I don't know if he's my favorite yet, because I haven't really seen him.
He's a card in Hearthstone. Have you seen... Like,
I've seen the Hearthstone one. So we've seen that, but in terms of in WoW, nada. Outside of what we know outside of game. Like, in game, we don't know anything about him. So, there's that. Right. Then there was, as Alessandra's pointing out, the whole morally gray thing, which became a meme in and of itself.
Yeah.
I went back
and looked. Which is wrong. The Alliance is obviously the Alliance is obviously evil. We can let them think they're still morally gray, but yeah, we all know the Horde's in the right in this.
All right. Anyway, I went back and looked at the exact thing Ian said, and he said the world is many shades of gray. He didn't say anything about any of the people. People are people. They're going to be good and bad both. Some more one way than the other. But as of right now, rephrasing, as of Tuesday, up until the new cinematic that came out Thursday night, Alliance were, oh, they're the good guys. Horde were, oh, we're the bad guys. Yes, you can have different points of view on it, but the overall thought process of the majority of players was that. Now with the new cinematic of Sourfang and Zappy Boy, which I just love that is a thing and Blizzard is encouraging.
His name is Zakan. He has a name.
He has a
Okay,
name.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Like, I will never call him that. I hate when people call him that, so I'm glad you guys are.
I don't care either way. He's Zappy Boy. He's Zakan. It's the same guy. But Blizzard is encouraging it. They know people are having fun.
Oh, they totally are. They totally are. And it makes sense. I mean, it adds some lightheartedness to what is really heavy right now.
Yeah. But the new cinematic shows Sourfang basically saying, you know what, I'm done. Just get away. I'm done with this. Because he didn't agree with what happened, as did many Horde players. He was either defecting or saying, hey, come kill me. You could read it both ways. And then he got...
Can you?
I've seen... I mean...
He says to Zakan asks what he's doing, and he says claiming what's mine right after his flashback to his son, where he says, you have earned your warrior's death, and it was to mine me. It seemed pretty clear he was going out to claim his warrior's death.
Yeah.
AKA
totally.
by cop,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, I've seen arguments saying he was going to defect. That's all I'm saying. And while I don't agree with it, I will grant that was, while slim, possible. He was going to, turn around and be like, no, Sylvanas, you were bad. And, probably die at her hands because she's stronger than him. But either way, he gets talked out of it from Zappy Boy, Zakan, and all that. It just... The timing was weird until I found out the reason for it. There was a convention thing over in China, and they literally showed it there. So they released it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it was at 11:45 East Coast on Thursday night.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was so strange, but I was like, oh, new one, yay. Originally, I thought it was fan-made until I saw it. And then I was like,
oh, it's so good.
This is, I saw it in a Discord. I thought someone, made it. And then I saw what it was. I was like, oh, no, this is real.
Yeah, I mean, China is one of their bigger markets, right? So it does make sense that they would be spreading it. It was kind of I'm pretty sure this is longer than any, cinematic trailer they've done for an expansion, so it is kind of weird to... it was definitely unexpected.
It was unexpected. Very much needed. And then it also started a new meme of all characters taking off their shoulder pads to show their support of Sourfang, which I thought funny. And most of my characters don't wear shoulder pads anyway. So I was like,
yeah, they're big and hideous. And...
I'm gonna say, shoulder pads in WoW are usually ugly, so I usually hide them. Now I have to go enable them on all of my characters just to show I don't.
So if you had to choose, if you were choosing War Chief between Bane, Sylvanas, and Sourfang, you would go as Sylvanas?
Well, I like Sylvanas, but I know that she hates being War Chief and would rather go back to leading the Forsaken. And since my new main is a Forsaken now, I guess I would choose someone else just so she can be our personal leader again and not have to worry about the Horde's problems.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess if those were the only three options, I guess Sourfang would be better than Bane because he has all his honor hang-ups and stuff, but he's not as bad as Bane, where Bane would just lead the Horde to complete destruction by trying to have this ideal peace world.
Well, at least the tree wouldn't be burning, so that's something.
No, but I like that the tree's burning. I'm Horde. We won.
But her doing that, something that I'm kind of stuck on, admittedly, is she did that But the fact of the matter is that not all of the Horde would support that choice. Bane wouldn't support it. Most of the Tauren probably wouldn't. The Druids wouldn't. I mean, I played through it on my Horde Druid, and it felt dirty. It felt so dirty.
This all the time. People are saying, like, oh, I play Druid, and I can't, like... I don't know, being a Druid doesn't mean you can never kill a tree. No. And if you remember, all the Druids were against Fandral planting the World Tree. It was considered an abomination, and you shouldn't have done that. So, really, Sylvanas is doing the Cenarian Circle a favor.
I don't agree, but that's okay.
I'm just letting you guys go back and forth. This is what I fully expected.
Well, and it's... I get it, because Sylvanas definitely, like, she's doing what she needs to for the Forsaken. I don't know about necessarily for the Horde.
I see the opposite. I think this choice obviously was a bad choice for the Forsaken because it's leading to Lordaeron getting sacked.
Yeah.
It's a good choice for the Horde. Like, yeah. Basically, since Vol'jin made her war chief, like her one, before that, her one goal was to keep the Forsaken, like, to survive, which is a near impossible task because Forsaken can't reproduce; they die so easily. And so now, that's, in my opinion, that's why Vol'jin decided in his last moments to make her war chief, because he knew that they needed a leader like her if the Horde was going to survive, and everything Sylvanas is doing right now is so the Horde can survive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I agree that they haven't done a great job of showing it in game, like the Horde's situation, but the Horde is in a really precarious situation right now.
They are. It's just, I think what struggle, and I'm not a Horde main, but I've always seen Horde as someone who is proud of their honor. And like Sarfang was saying in the War of Thorns quest, like, there wasn't honor in what they were doing. He wouldn't kill off Malfurion. Like, he was even saying, like, she's, gonna lead us, and there's no honor in it. And he was saying, Zakan, like, they were missing the honor. And that was a struggle for me when Sylvanas chose to do the burning.
And I know, again, I took the opposite meaning from the cinematic than everyone else who watched it, but the Old Soldier cinematic, I think the meaning of that in Sorfang's character development was that Zakan convinces him that some things are more important than honor. Almost a synecdoche for Sorfang of the Horde. So Sorfang's ready to go out and commit suicide by alliance to uphold his honor, and Zakan's telling him, like, basically Sorfang's being selfish. He's like, I've lived, like, I don't know, 100 years at this point. He looks super old. I'm ready to go die. And Zakan's like, what about, like, young people like me? What about the babies and children who are being raised by the Horde? Are you ready to throw them all away for honor too? And Sorfang comes around to, like, maybe Sylvanas doesn't conform to, like, outdated orcish rules of honor, but she is what's going to keep, like, the Horde alive and those babies and children and families, and, like, he realizes he's not ready to let them all die just for his honor.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it, for sure.
Yeah, it was difficult. But I think in the end, one, I don't think we're going to kill Sylvanas.
No.
I think that she'll be war chief for this, maybe next expansion at most. And then she'll do something, and she'll just kind of go away. Like, she won't die, she'll just kind of do what Thrall did and just leave.
She'll probably go back to the Forsaken and focus on...
I don't know. She's good. I think what's going to happen, and now I have no inside information on this, so don't quote me, but she's going to do something even more terrible than burning Teldrassil. Terrible from a point of view, Evaric, just so you can have your out on that. But she's going to do something really terrible, but it's going to be something that was needed to happen to save everyone else. And then everyone's going to be like, thank you, but you got to go. Thank you.
Right.
But, you got to leave us alone.
Yeah, I do agree. So this isn't where I want the story to go on. I hope it doesn't. But because I played StarCraft, and I know Blizzard games all steal from each other's story, and they're kind of telling the whole story over and over again. Is it okay to spoil the end of StarCraft 2 at this point?
Yeah, it's like 6 years old now. I think it's okay.
It's safe.
Or like Legacy of the Void. How old is it? I don't know.
But Legacy is
4 years, I think.
Yeah, it's a few years. Darth Vader is Luke's father. Bruce Willis was dead the entire movie. I mean,
Surprise!
Yeah. Okay, so basically in StarCraft, there's a character who not exactly dies, but becomes corrupted by this force and becomes their queen, and then leaves them and commits a bunch of atrocities, and then basically becomes a goddess and defeats the ultimate evil. So far, Sylvanas has done all of that except for becoming a goddess and defeating ultimate evil. So I hope that's not where this is going, but so far the rest of her story has been beat for beat Kerrigan. So we'll see.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who saw that. But I don't really like to say stuff like that because I'm hoping, excuse me, that's not where it goes. But I think it's just going to be one of those, she's the only one who could make said hard choice that would cause at least them to fall back as opposed, or give us a chance to run away or something. As opposed to everyone else would be like, no, we must do this, and then everyone's dead because no one was willing to do the hard thing. Whereas she would be like, oh, that's the only way.
Yeah. It's funny, like recently I was actually, and this is going to make me sound like such a loser nerd, but I was reading like a book by Frederick the Great. He's like a great ancient military writer. And so he talks about how like he actually considered himself a pacifist, even though he led his people, like the Prussians, in a bunch of wars. And he talks about how like the kindest and most merciful thing you can do if war cannot be avoided is to strike with like such force and cruelty that you end the war overnight, which means way less people die in the end. So if you think if Sorfang was leading the Horde, first of all, he wouldn't have done that thing where all the rogues like went in and took over all the Ashenvale cities overnight without killing civilians, except that's disputed now. And then the tree, he would have like had a long protracted siege on the tree, and like so many people would have died on both sides. Sylvanas is basically taking a page out of Frederick the Great's book. She's like, we're going to end this war like today, and she was wrong because Anduin retaliated. Obviously, but in her mind, I guess burning Teldrassil was like, we're going to end this war now, and then maybe we can have peace.
So I have a question. Right before she goes and does the burning, she, at least as a Alliance player, she traps us and makes us watch as she's going to go kill Malfurion, and she's really proud of it, and she's going to make us watch. Then Saurfang does his thing, throws his axe, and she walks up and she has that chance to end him and makes Saurfang do it himself. Do you think she was trying to test him?
Yeah,
why didn't she do it herself? Like that's one I've been trying to process.
I can see multiple ways I could go. Like maybe she's trying to test him, but it does like, you know, her whole plan hinged on killing Malfurion, so that's like seems way too big. Like she's literally hinging her victory on this test just to see if she can trust this, and if she doesn't trust him anyway, why is she like I don't know. I feel like for whatever reason she was okay with the fact that Malfurion might not die because she's not stupid and she knows Sorfang, and yeah.
I'm not an expert on Sylvanas by any stretch. I do get, like, in character, like, burning the tree is in character. That's something she would do. Mm-hmm. Would she have left Malfurion there? No, she probably would have killed him unless she had an idea. And I think what Blizzard was trying to put in was Saurfang is considered this honorable guy, by and large, by almost everybody. And she wanted him to dirty his hands for stuff coming later that she was planning.
I could see so many ways it could go, because like I could see that. On the other hand, what if this is actually like a kindness? Like Sylvanas is grateful that, because Malfurion was winning that fight. Obviously, she saved fate and said like, "Oh no, like he was just slowing me down. I was going to win." But she knew that Sorfang saved her, and as like gratitude, she's basically allowing him to regain his honor by either killing Malfurion himself, which would at least be more honorable than having Sylvanas do it, or let him go. Like, I could see either way.
Yeah, I think she wanted him to get in more of a what is necessary kind of mindset, as opposed to honor above everything else, which is completely not what most orc are about. At least some of the older school orcs that actually follow that kind of thing. So I think that's what it was. Is she just wanted him to get more on her way of seeing things, and That's just not going to happen. I don't know of anyone else in-game that is not already Forsaken that would be on her mindset, follow her wavelength of train of thought. And even
maybe her buddy Nathanos, maybe, but even he hesitates a little bit. And
he hesitated on the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then she yelled at him, so he did it. But, it's just one of those things where I don't think anyone else has the same processing that she does. She's
kind of broken. She's died a few times.
Just a little bit, yeah. She's already died 3 times that we know of. So, there's that. So,
yeah, I mean, people seem to forget that she was kind of a sociopath, like, when she was alive, too. She hasn't even changed all that much. I don't know if either of you read, it was a long time ago, I think, like, during Cataclysm, they released a story called, like, Arrows in Her Quiver.
Not yet.
Basically...
It was online, right?
Back in Cataclysm.
Yeah, I read it. It was online.
Basically, it's, like, exploring her mindset. So when she led the High Elves, she saw them as arrows in her quiver. Like, the people she led weren't people, they were arrows and tools to be used, and if they died, like, that's what tools are. And then when she led the Forsaken at first, she saw them the same way, and then after she had, like, her reflective moment on Ice Crown and then tried to commit suicide and the Valkyrie brought her back, that's when she actually had her change and started feeling empathy for people, and we're like, okay, my Forsaken are actually people, and I do need to care. So it's weird. So, like, she has more empathy now that she's dead than she ever did when she was alive, because, living Sylvanas was...
Given the things that she's done after she's been dead, it's kind of weird that that's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah, people forget about what happened with Gilneas and what happened in South Shore. Like, some people are acting like this completely came out of left field. Like, this is her, yes, this was, evil, but this isn't the only evil she's ever done.
Yeah, no, it's totally, like, that's... So many people... sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just that a lot of the people who are upset about, like, a lot of people claim that, like, Sylvanas is my favorite character, and I'm mad because, like, they made her into, like, this evil and that. It's, like, people have so much, like, romanticized headcanon about who Sylvanas is. None of this is new. Like,
this is just how she does things.
So she did do the whole plague thing and all that, but I am willing to give her a pass on South Shore and Gilneas because she was ordered by her war chief to do it.
Yeah, I mean, she was ordered to go to war. She was also ordered not to use the plague, and then she went ahead. Although, that part is also touched on in that Arrows in the Quiver story. Like, it's really good. If you can still find it, you should read it. So basically, the reason she does stuff like basically Garrosh always hated the Forsaken, and he sent them to war not because he wanted to conquer Gilneas, because he wanted to kill all the Forsaken in a way that wouldn't, like, make the Horde rebel against him. And so Sylvanas did underhanded things like using the plague, literally to save her own people, because Garrosh was literally throwing them into a meat grinder and trying to extinct the species.
Yeah, so, I mean... So I'm willing to give her at least a slight pass on that. But... to me, the way things are going, I see one of 2 options for Sylvanas going forward. Presuming she doesn't, either go away or we don't kill her. Or maybe even including if we do kill her. I see Arthas / Bolvar.
First times.
Yeah. I see basically Lich King 3.0, because I'm going to say Arthas was 2.0. Or no, Bolvar is 2.0, because Arthas and then Bolvar and now Sylvanas. So that's one option. There's Garrosh 2.0.
But New Zero was 1.0, so it should be 4.
Whatever. But, so you've got Lich King, you've got Garrosh, which is I think what everyone's worried about more than anything else. Mm-hmm. Is they don't want Garrosh again.
No one does.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, so on Tuesday when the cinematic came out, everyone was saying, like, oh, it's going to be Garrosh 2.0 again. And then when the Sorfang cinematic came out, suddenly everyone was excited. They were like, yeah, Sorfang is going to kill her and overthrow her, and, like, they were super excited about that.
Yeah, and that is literally Garrosh Vol'jin all over again.
Yeah.
So...
which is ironic because Vol'jin made her war chief.
Yeah.
But I think, presuming Vol'jin was talking to who he was talking to, who he said he was, and not like an old god telling him to do it, which I believe is possible. Like, he wasn't corrupted. I think it was just he might have not been talking to who he thought he was. But presuming he was, something happens later on that there's a reason why Sylvanas was the chosen one. And it's because of that hard decision someone would have to make, and only she'd be willing to do it.
Yep.
I could definitely see.
Whether that is, you know, bombing a continent, who knows? Who knows what it is? Maybe she'll literally throw herself into something to close a rift so the old gods can't, or more old gods can't show up, or void lords or whatever. Who knows? But I have a sneaking feeling that at the end of the expansion, Sylvanas and Jaina are going to have huge roles.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then we already know Ashara is going to get killed in the second raid of the new expansion, so that's kind of exciting and sad at the same time.
I'm excited to see her short.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I want to. Yeah, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was like, "Urgh." So Janus came out on a Monday. Sylvanas came out on Tuesday, but later on in the day to let people see it in game first. Made sense because it is rather spoiler. I don't know, Monday or it'll be Monday or Tuesday, but I can't think of any reason why it would be a spoiler. So it could be either time. But I'm definitely looking forward to it because Ashara is another one of those characters that I'm like, I won't say I'm a fan of, but she's interesting.
She's always intrigued me.
Yeah.
I guess I'm definitely looking forward to it because like the Warbringers, like the art and the music and everything has been amazing. They've been some of the best work Blizzard's ever done. I'm really curious what story they're gonna like. Is it just gonna be like, hey, Ashara is evil and wants to drown the world? Like, I'm wondering what they're gonna tell us about her that we don't know.
I think it'll be. How long is these other ones? They've been about 3.5-4 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Warbringer. I think it's
Jaina
gonna be
was
longer.
yeah. Oh my god.
I think this one's gonna be longer. I think it's gonna have a real brief, maybe a minute backstory at the beginning, like, hey, this is Ashara before. And then it's just going to be her talking about it to somebody, like, do you remember when? As she's doing whatever it is she's going to be doing.
They've got to do something like that because a lot of the player base don't really know a whole lot about her unless they're invested in the lore. So that would be really smart of them.
Yeah. But
yeah, I mean,
what do we know? We don't work at Blizzard. We're just, people who talk about Blizzard stuff.
Like, there is a lot of super interesting things they could do because she has been around for 10,000 years. Like, as far as we know, she's just been chilling under the sea. But like, there's so many events in Warcraft history that they could include in that short if they wanted to. So
yeah,
they can easily throw in old god glimpses to
I was also gonna say, like,
more.
what if I just had this idea in my head, so I'm just thinking this right now. So it might be a super stupid idea because I haven't reflected on it. But what if it's like the Ashara title is almost like a misleading and it's actually like our Nazatha cinematic or something, and it turns out because she's at least affiliated with him. I don't know if she's directly working with him, but they definitely hang out, so it'd be cool to see.
From what I remember, she's working for him. Whatever. I would not be surprised to see at least the art from the Overwatch card in the cinematic.
Overwatch?
Or not Overwatch, sorry, Hearthstone.
I don't know a lot about Overwatch.
Knew what I meant.
Like, is there like some Nazatha skin in Overwatch?
I mean, Zenyatta has a tentacle skin, so kind of, but not really. I meant Hearthstone. I just don't ever play Hearthstone, so that's why I went with a game I do play on occasion.
Yeah, no, I would again, we know so little about him, but like just his art alone makes him one of my favorite things in this game, and his voice. Like his voice acting is really good in Hearthstone.
Yeah, it'll be different.
It'll be good. I don't know if it'll be so much like in your face old gods. If that is eventually where they're going, I don't know if they're ready to expose all those cards yet. But I'll bet there'd be some kind of glimpse or Easter egg or something.
So my current thought, while it's not a quote-unquote old god expansion, I don't know that he'll be the last boss of this expansion, but I guarantee you he'll be second raid last boss at latest next expansion. Whatever's after BFA, he'll be whatever not the big boss at the end, but he'll be like the Gul'dan.
Wouldn't be at all surprised if he was the Oduar, like in Lich King, like second to last. We go to Oduar and kill Yogg-Saron, and then back to the Lich King. And
yeah.
But I could see him being a boss. Both this expansion, he'd have to be the last one, but
yeah.
It'll be like shadows of him or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we're told that we can't kill an old god, yet we have. Like, certain ones are known to be dead, which I'm not buying.
It's the same way, like, Yaz-Shiraj has been dead for, like, thousands of years. He still messed a lot of stuff up in Pandaria. So.
Since that. Well, yeah,
I think being dead doesn't necessarily mean an old god stops messing around with us and having agency in our world.
Yeah. But either way. Do we have anything else you guys want to mention for these two cinematics in particular before we move on to the last couple things? Because we are running, as normal, long.
I was kind of bummed. I didn't think the Sylvanas would be a huge musical number. It made sense that the Jaina one was, because it's a sea shanty and it was glorious and amazing, and it's still stuck in my head. But I was bummed that I didn't even have a little bit of like Lament of the Highborn. Just like a little bit, like when they showed like her past or something. Like I feel like that was a missed opportunity, personally.
I was expecting it, so I'm not surprised it wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, I love that song, but it is like I am glad they went for something completely new and didn't I mean, I guess they could have used some of the motif from it, like that would have been cool.
Yeah, just like a hint at it, you know.
Is it wrong that when I did the Rescue People quest on the Alliance side, that I popped Lament of the Highborn in the tree quest area itself?
That's fine, I guess.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. How many people did you get up to? How many did you save?
Well, I did it on multiple characters. The highest one I got up to was, I think, 54.
Ooh, damn, nice.
Well, that was like the fourth time I had done it. So I knew where the big groups were, and I had flying. So I just went to the big groups and rescued one, and when you rescue one, you rescue
They all do it, yeah.
So I just kept jumping back and forth.
I didn't even try flying there. For some reason, I just assumed you couldn't. Oops, yeah, I only saved about 20, but I only did it once. But yeah, on the character who's actually going to be my main now, at least for a while. So the super ironic thing, like I know I'm here on this show as not the Horde representative.
Oh, you're maining your Alliance. Super
ironic, yeah, because now I'm going to actually be playing Alliance, at least for the first part of this expansion. When you hear the reason, Ali, you'll be less pleased. So basically, I got my girlfriend into the game recently, and we've been leveling up new characters, and since she actually has a real job and she's in school, she's not like self-employed and not in school like me, we're still at like level 40, it's going super slow. And so basically the deal was I wasn't going to play any new story until we caught up to max level, so I haven't even done most of the Argus stuff yet at this point. But Battle for Azeroth is just looking so cool, like I can't resist it. So basically the deal we worked out, we're playing Horde, so it's like, since they have almost completely different stories this expansion, I'll play the Alliance story for now, and then when she catches up, we can play the real story and actually like experience the real part of the game.
The real story.
Exactly.
So I've got.
It's going to be super hard to hold out on that too, though, because like I said, Mexico with dinosaurs is.
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah.
I've got max level characters on both factions. I finally this week decided who I'm going to main, because I was debating between my Rep Paladin, who I've mained since I made it, and then I was thinking the Demon Hunter. And then I just was back and forth for a bit, and I was like, I'm just going to keep with the Paladin until they break it to the point where I can't. So I picked my Paladin. So there you go. Alliance Rep Paladin. Human, so extra rep.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't make my choice by class. I had a Worgen Warrior who was like level 20, and I just boosted them to 110 to like experience the Alliance side of the story, just because like I feel like I have to play a Worgen at this point. They're the most invested in the war storyline, so when I finally catch up on the Horde, like I'm going to be playing a Forsaken on one side and Worgen on the other, because they're just like have the most reason to fight each other.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I've got one Horde alt that's 110. So I'm definitely going to be spending some time there because it's not only do I want to see both sides of the story, but the zones are gorgeous. Like I enjoyed everything I did beta, so I'm excited to experience even more of it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I haven't used my beta at all, so I'm going to be seeing them for the first time. But
I did a little bit of Horde side because I knew I figured I'd probably stay Alliance. I was really tempted whenever they announced the expansion to be like, I'm going Horde, guys, see ya. And then when the Sylvanas thing happened, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't because I don't want to deal with that again. Because, like I said, Garrosh 2.0 seemed to be where it was going. So I did some of the Zandalar quests, so I didn't get through the entire thing. I never got to max level on the beta or anything. I just did a little bit to test it out. And then I never touched Alliance side at all.
The dungeons are really good.
Haven't done a single one.
So good.
I've seen a couple of videos that briefly touch on it, but more for aesthetics, not mechanics.
Right.
Yeah. No, I was going to play both. I am super excited for both, even though, like I said, you can't beat Mexico with dinosaurs, but Pirates does come close. Like, I love Pirates. Also, that one zone, like, Dressvar is completely ripped off The Witcher 3, but The Witcher 3 is my favorite game, so I'm totally okay with that. So Pirates and The Witcher 3, like, that's also a very good... They literally made this expansion for me, so thank you, Blizzard.
Yeah.
I guess one last thing to touch on the cinematic. I found this really funny. I don't know if it's just me, so I showed my girlfriend the cinematic for the first time today. Like, she doesn't have max level characters, so I went on the Horde all and basically showed her, like, played through it, because obviously she's not caught up, but this story is going away in a few weeks, so she's never going to get to play it. And I showed her the cinematic, and I'm glad that I found another sociopath like me, and she was totally on board. She's like, wait, so was this the controversial thing? Like,
you're meant for each other.
She made the right choice. Two, she was like, when she was watching the wrapped of the cinematic, she was like laughing, and she was like, okay, if that stupid dying elf hadn't made her had a flashback, none of this would happen, so this is all her fault.
Oh. Yeah. I will say overall, like, no matter Horde Alliance, the fact that Blizzard can use a game to get people this worked up and emotional about it really speaks to them and how great they are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool.
No, that's still, even the people who are being super hateful and claiming they hate the story, it's like...
It's a game. They're passionate about a game.
You love the story enough to go and, harass the people who wrote it, which isn't good, but it does.
So I'm not going to call them passionate. I will say they're being toxic. They're passionate in that they have feelings, and a lot of them, and blah, blah, blah. They're still being toxic. So just, if you don't like it, I mean, I think the best comparison I heard was actually from Fist, from over at Lightning Ball. She's like, this is the start of this particular chapter. It's like throwing down a Harry Potter book because the Dursleys were mean to Harry at the beginning of book 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, I was like, that's a fairly accurate comparison.
Yeah. Also, if you're going to be toxic and be hateful toward people because you feel like the story is making your side seem like the villains and you're supposed to be the heroes, like, maybe acting like a villain in real life isn't...
Yeah. Well, that too,
okay,
yeah.
If you're like, hey, like, I hate you, Blizzard, because you made me not feel like a hero, it's like, well, you're not if you're threatening people who made a game. So.
Well, and even not beyond just the toxic people, just people who aren't being toxic and having civil discussions like this. Like, when was the last time a game that this much of an uproar happened, even beyond the non-toxic stuff? Like, I think it's really cool that they were able to get this many people, this many discussion, this deep of discussions going. And that's this game's been around for 14 years. In fact, they could still do that is impressive.
Yeah,
I think the only thing that has made this much of an uproar, I'm not even talking about civil discussions. Like, I was hoping we would, I figured we would, but, I was playing around with it on Twitter. But in terms of actual uproar, I think this is the most uproar outside of the flying debacle.
Yeah. I don't think that was definitely a debacle. I don't think it reached this level though.
I was on the unpopular side of that one too, so it's running theme.
I'm fine. I would rather buy flying, obviously, but I'm fine with having to see the content before I get flying.
It's good enough content.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
But yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. We got 2 more smaller topics to talk about. First up is celebrity D&D. Basically, Terry Brooks, the guy who everyone was hoping would be the voice of Doomfist over in Overwatch, and he ended up not being, played D&D. It was a special Horde versus Alliance session of D&D with Critical Role's Matt Mercer, and I don't remember who else was there. But either way, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Like, I started to watch it, and then they started talking about when it takes place.
I have not watched it yet.
This is the first I'm hearing about it.
Okay, so
It looks really good. I'm excited to watch it.
yeah, my advice based on
because you told me, but other than that, yeah, I have no context for this.
My advice based on the first couple minutes of them doing the introduction, wait until Tuesday to watch it. Because it does take place right around that same time frame.
That makes sense.
So there's that. So I haven't watched it yet. And supposedly Chad is saying that I said Terry Brooks and meant Terry Crews. So apologies if I did that wrong to both Terry Brooks and Terry Crews. But either way, I will send you guys the YouTube link. And,
But we're supposed to not watch it until Tuesday, you said?
Oh, I mean, if you want, I'll wait till Tuesday to send you the link. But
If you pre-ordered, you get to do the new thing on Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just was, yeah. So the thing that's in the video, it like ties in with Lordaeron more than...
Yeah.
Okay.
So, wait, Lordaeron, you can't do Lordaeron unless you pre-ordered Battle?
That's my understanding.
I thought
Like
that was...
you'll get to do it when BFA comes out, but my understanding was if you pre-ordered, then on Tuesday you'll get to do Battle for Lordaeron.
I'll have to go look it up because my understanding was it was part of the pre-patch, whether you have the new
Definitely think you're right
game or not. It could be either way. I don't know. They've done stuff like that before. Demon
If
Hunter.
you haven't pre-ordered, you should. It's going to be
Yeah.
enough in the description.
So
And
I
it's
was
like
saying in chat that you pre-purchase gets it 2 weeks early.
Okay.
and I mean that Bravosaur mount, like, come on.
Well, we already got the mounts.
No, I just mean like that's a reason to pre-order if you haven't already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the Alliance mount too, like with the lantern. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm tired of horses. We need something that's not a horse.
So
I'm the opposite. I was listening to you guys talk about like your mount collections earlier, and I was like, I don't know what most of these mounts you're talking about are because I'm so basic when it comes to mounts. Like I like horses. I like the raptors that trolls get in their starting zone. Like I don't know. I like simple.
I have my 350 mount achievement.
Ooh, I want that so badly.
It's the ice-looking elemental dude.
I need it.
I'm at 386, 390, somewhere around there.
At like
really
175. I'm far
Right.
away.
Eventually got up to 100 just because I really wanted the red Dragonhawk because I play a Blood Elf. I have a pet Dragonhawk. I have a bow that looks like a Dragonhawk. I was like, okay, I need a Dragonhawk mount. So I got to 100, and I don't think I've gotten a single mount since then. Like,
Oh.
I've gone out of my way. There's a few that I haven't bought the super expensive spider, despite really wanting it. But then I saw there's a flying spider coming next expansion, and it's not 5 million gold. So I'm like, that's the one I'm going to use.
Will you make that noise when you buy it?
Probably.
Please do.
And,
On air.
and I guarantee you, the first thing I'm going to do to actually use it, I'm going to use the Reichel drinking horn, and then I'm going to use Mr. Smite's compass, so that I am freaking huge on that spider, and the spider is also huge. And be like, giant flying spider coming out. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I didn't realize, chat did confirm, Burning of Teldrassil ends War of Thorns. Battle of Lordaeron is BFA. And you just get it early if you pre-ordered. So I guess technically the mounts weren't early, because I was under the impression you get them for doing the Lordaeron part. So, oh well. It would have made more sense to do that, because the Horde side one, the bat, it says one of the few remaining Undercity bats that escaped. I was like, they gave it to us early from all the uproar.
Oh, yeah. I didn't read the tooltip on that, though. You're right, though.
That was something they could have done, like, on the fly. Like, oh, crap, we just ticked everybody off. Okay, give them the mount.
No, they were saying in the marketing, like, before War of Thorn started, like, earn your exclusive mounts by playing this content that's going to disappear.
Yeah, but I thought under the Lordaeron part was part of the pre-patch, not just early access to the BFA stuff. So
technically, it is pre-patch because it's coming.
Yeah, the expansion but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
Yeah, so it's just the way it was worded and all that was a little weird. So yeah, if you haven't pre-ordered, what's wrong with you? You can either play a Horde character or an Alliance character, or you can be like me, play both, and have no faction bias with either one, and everyone's like, for the Horde, for the Alliance. I'm like, for the Void Lords! Because I like being different.
I welcome our Void Lord overlords. It's fine.
Yeah, that's one of the things I say to people whenever. I'm in a Discord. I'll have to go back and figure out which one, but they just added an Alliance and a Horde banner for like little emotes in the channels. I was like, if you're gonna do that, and I sent them a Void Lord. I was like, I want that one too. And they're like, what is this? I'm like, it's a Void Lord. No, actually, they said, who is this? I was like, I call him Dad, but you can call him Master. That was the reaction. Nice. I got a bunch of people saying that was funny.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
I have fun.
Yeah, no, if the Blood God Hekara was a faction, I'd be on that, definitely.
I have a feeling we're going to see him again.
Would make sense.
Yeah. I don't know, but maybe. And otherwise, we have one more thing for Warcraft major news, and it's more if you care about the, not necessarily esports side, but competitive side. World First Mythic Plus 31.
That's gross.
Happened this past week. And yeah, that's insane. Plus 30 Darkheart Thicket was also a world first for that. And I'm pulling it up now to see which one it was that was 31 Court of Stars.
Wow. Highest I went was 15, and that was enough for me.
I have completed a 17, but it was not in time. Yes. I've completed a 15 on time. I
think I did a 16 not in time.
Yeah. I've not done a single Mythic Plus in, well, at least since 8.0, since the artifacts went kablooey.
Yeah.
Which, are you guys a little bit sad that you didn't get any cinematic at all for the artifact going kaboom?
I was so sad. Like, I was expecting a cinematic, and not having that, I feel like I didn't get closure. Like, I have, one of my mains is a priest, and I'm holy in shadow on her. And so when I'm shadow, my weapon talks to me. We had a bond, and it was glorious. And then all of a sudden, like, it just has no power. Like, just boom, I went in my closure, and I got none.
Well, yeah. We got a cutscene. We held them up at the sword, and then
but that's when they were all powerful, and then we spent time
getting super powered. Though I'm talking,
and we watched all the numbers grow, and then all of a sudden, just dead. Like no explanation, no like just.
If it would have had a 30-second, not just an in-game cinematic, not a super rendered like the Sourfang cinematic, just an in-game thing where it just shows you holding your weapon and it shows sparks coming out, and then it just spark, and all of a sudden it just dims. Even that would have been enough for me.
Anything. Something.
That's my one complaint about that. We knew it was going to happen. Agree. It was just a matter of, it would have been nice to visually see it, not just when you log in.
Yeah. I agree. That was a miss.
But, I mean, Blizzard isn't perfect. They were probably working on the Sourfang thing since they did it so quickly. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would have been cool if they did it. I didn't really
Yeah, it wasn't a huge thing. It just was one of those. It would have been nice things. Like it's not.
Well, we spent all expansion working our butts off on those weapons. So
how high did you get?
To not have that
Artifact level.
My Blood DK was my tank, and I think she got up to a number I can't remember at the moment. And since we're live, I'm not going to waste your time trying to remember.
Do you know, Evaric, how high your number got?
I honestly have no idea. I just played. I never paid attention to the numbers. I knew it was going up, but it wasn't. Yeah, okay. Like I said, so my all expansion, my main focus has been on my level 40 character that I'm playing with my girlfriend, and then my max level character is the alt. So I know that's reverse of how most people do it, but I haven't really. I've never done a mythic dungeon, if that gives you an example.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, when my artifact, I knew most people were really attached to theirs. When my artifact got depowered, I was just laughing because, so it was a Lyria's bow that I had, and then obviously she is a traitor and goes and joins the Alliance. But when you meet her in the, what's the ship that goes to Argus? I forget the name.
Vindicar,
right. Yeah, when you meet her, she's like, oh, hey, I might ask for that back someday. And then now it's broken and useless, and I'm just like, haha, okay, you can have that back. Here you go. So.
Yeah, I think I got mine up to 77. Now that I'm thinking about it, with my Blood DK, because that's who I mostly rated on, because we need a tank more than we need healers. So, yeah.
I got my Paladin my main character up to 84, 85. Nice. Which was insane, don't get me wrong. I know people that were higher than that, but still. And it just... That was what I had to do to keep up DPS wise. I had to put that effort in because reds weren't the most powerful. We were on the low end, so I had to put the extra effort in to get similar numbers. And people were like, "Well, that's why." I was like, "No, this is why I'm ahead of everybody, but not by much. I'm actually underpowered if for the same level of stuff." That's just how it worked out. But anyway, that was just a question I thought up. Well, since we were talking artifacts. With that, I think we need to call it a show. I know Evaric is probably ready to pass out.
Yeah, no, I go to bed at 8 most nights because I'm an old man, so.
Whereas me, I don't go to bed until 8 a.m.
Yeah. No, I try to wake up at 4:30 a.m., so in my time zone, that's 5 hours from now, so. Need to get a little...
Yeah, it's going on midnight here, so yeah. So we'll go ahead and close out with how do people get a hold of you guys. As I started the show, ladies first, I'm going to finish the show, ladies first. Because every now and then I can be gentleman-like. I just don't do it often because then people expect it and it's more hassle.
You can't have that, right?
Yeah. Low expectations. I'm all about the low expectations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Ali... How can people find you on the internet? Do you have any shout-outs, anything you want to plug, etc., and so forth?
Well, you can find my show Dungeon Fables on whatever podcasting place you get your podcast. And except for Spotify, I should probably do that sometime.
I get it.
You can find... Oh, that works too. And on Twitter, you can find the show at Dungeon Fable, because some non-user has fables and they're a jerk. And you can find me at AliK. And shout out to my husband, who I had to kick away from his computer, and he's in the next room watching us on Twitch.
Nice.
Hi, husband person. There's a second shout out to you there.
Thanks for making the sacrifice so she could do this.
Yeah. So, Evaric, how about you? How do people get a hold of you online? Anything you want to plug, etc., and so forth?
I'm hoping you have show notes where you can write this down because no one's going to be able to spell it. I'm at Evaric Weixel, basically everywhere, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you want to find me, but no one can spell that. As we mentioned, we do a podcast called Secrets of Talonguard. It's a recorded Dungeons & Dragons play session, which I know is a super original idea. It's probably going to weird you out because no one's done it before.
Never heard it before.
Yeah, it's a little different than a lot of campaigns. Just it basically takes place in a sort of fantasy version of the colonial Americas, and it's a story that does not shy away from all the uncomfortable racial baggage that entails. So if you want sort of a darker, grittier, more uncomfortable fantasy, this might be the show for you. So you can find that, again, iTunes, Stitcher. Apparently it's a little broken on Pocket Casts, but other than that, I think you can find it everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
As for me, over on Twitter, @Draven Dresden, easiest way. Say hi. As long as you're civil about it, almost any topic I will discuss. There are a few that I'm like, no. But for the most part, as long as you're civil and polite, fine, cool. Other than that, I'm going to give a shout out to my bed for being there for me these last couple days while I've been in it for most of it because I've been sick. I'm feeling mostly okay. I should be fine for tomorrow. And if I'm not, well, I'll just power through it anyway. Kind of like tonight.
Everyone's giving shout outs. I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend because she recently launched a YouTube account like all about books. It's really cool, but it's also in Spanish, so I don't know if any of your target audience would really find that accessible.
No habla español.
I know,
Exactly.
I know a little bit. Pequeño.
That's literally what I know in Spanish. That's it. I don't know anything else. Well, I know C, but
How about no?
I wasn't sure if that was actually accurate. So I was like, so yeah, my Spanish is very much I know about 5 words, and that's about it. So yeah, it would not be for me. Not for me. I mean, I'm sure other people can speak Spanish, and they're cool with it. Things I have to plug because, kind of a requirement kind of thing. I've got a Patreon, patreon.com/podcast epic fail. If you want to throw money at the show, it helps out way more than you could ever know, simply because I don't go into my personal life in detail. But it does help keep the show going. So if you want to throw $1 a month, $5, $2, excuse me. If you want to throw $100 a month, I will look at you like you're crazy. Well, even if you give me if you send $1, I'll think you're crazy. But I will wonder if you need locked up if you send 100. I will thank you a lot, but I'll still think you're crazy. We do have a Discord for the show, bit.ly/epicfaildiscord. Come say hi over there. You can see what we're talking about, which is, it's a slow Discord, not going to lie. But sometimes you need a chill Discord just for, hanging out purposes where you don't have to have someone do it at everyone every time they post. If you were here for the pre-show, you understand that joke. And then, as he said, Secrets of TALONGUARD, D&D podcast. I'm a tiefling, which is basically a little demon person, and I'm a wizard. So I get to be mischievous and mysterious all at the same time. And everyone else seems to be having fun with it, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
It's funny, I didn't make this connection until just now, but you were recently asked to commit genocide against a bunch of elves, so it does kind of tie in with tonight's Warcraft discussion.
Yeah, and after tonight, I might be more willing to do it. I'm kidding. Maybe, or am I?
Find out.
We'll find out! Maybe. Other than that, the music we use at the start of the show, bensound.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. That's the legal version of saying, tell people that that's where you got it and you can use it for free. So, with that, I believe that is a show. Normally, I give one person chance for last words. I will, for the show, I mean, not like ever. But since you guys are both here, I will give you both that chance. Ali, you are a lady, I presume.
Am I?
I presume. You get to go first, and then we'll go to Ev for last words for the show.
Have fun with the story. Remember, it's a game, and enjoy.
por la horda.
And in English?
For the Horde.
There you go.